AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt.
Shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Get out there and make it a good one. Jason Ratcliff in 13 minutes from right now. He's in Omaha from 64 Analytics. Want to talk to him about the College World Series, but really also about LSU's baseball portal class, which is now up to 5. We'll do that coming here in about a dozen minutes. Breaking news and good news for the LSU football Tigers. Just minutes ago, as we were going to the top of the hour, Terrance Smith, offensive lineman, was making his announcement on the CBS Sports College Football YouTube channel and did, in fact, pick the LSU Tigers over Auburn, Rutgers, and Tennessee. So LSU now has its second offensive line commitment of the day, and now 2 offensive line commits for the class of 2027. If you missed it earlier, Amazea Siale out of Hawaii was a Cal commit and flipped to LSU. So now you've got Amazea Siale, who is the 9th commit of the class, and Terrance Smith, now the 10th commit of LSU's class. Terrance Smith, just to run through the bio real quickly, he is out of Lansdale Catholic, that's in Pennsylvania. He is he's a 4-star, 6'7", 290, nationally ranked in the Rivals industry, number 111. So he's on the precipice of a top 100 overall prospect. He is the 10th best interior offensive lineman in America. He's actually ranked as high as number 5 at his position by 24/7, who has him as the number 39 overall prospect, regardless of position. I tell you often that I am way more concerned with who is recruiting a player instead of star rating, ranking, all that sort of stuff. And this is a guy who had, offers from, my goodness, the list is long and distinguished if you look at the offers that Smith has. As we mentioned, LSU, Rutgers, Auburn, Penn State, Tennessee, those are among the finalists there. Florida, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Kentucky, Maryland, Oregon, Georgia, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, Wisconsin, Missouri, Pitt, West Virginia, Florida State. You get it. North Carolina, Duke, South Carolina, Alabama. He's got tons of offers from all over the country. Basically a top 100 overall prospect, a high 4-star interior offensive lineman. So here on this day now, Amazea Siale, a big offensive tackle out of Hawaii, had been committed to Cal. He flips to LSU after his official this weekend. And now Terrance Smith, 4-star, top 100, right on the precipice of a top 100 overall prospect in America, picks LSU. So 2 commits today. That gives LSU 10 for the class of 2027 and its first 2 offensive linemen for this class in Eric Wolford. I think it is important to note, as we've talked so much about the way and the manner in which Lane Kiffin and Billy Glasscock are building this roster. I know I've played this soundbite so much, but and I don't even need to play the entirety of it, but you get the gist of it. Lane Kiffin was asked about how they evaluate talent now in this era, and he made it pretty clear what their approach is.
I challenge our guys to make sure we evaluate who they are really, really well. Who is the player as they're coming out of high school? What is their mindset? How competitive are they? Because what's going to happen is most likely it's not going to go like they want in the first year. And then get into your analytics of, okay, well, if they're going to, or you're going to pay them, and then they're going to leave after year one, then what did you really get out of them from a business sense versus the money going somewhere else? So I really tried to find that in tight ends, but in all of our players.
That's good. So you effectively hear what Lane's saying. If we're going to pay you, you got to be able to contribute right away. Because what they don't want to do is pay someone, them not play, and then they leave. Well, then what did you get? You wasted that money as part of your cap. So very clearly what they are doing when they're evaluating high school players, it's guys at the top of the class that will contribute immediately. We've talked a ton about Ahmad Hudson. Trey'Dez Green's likely going to the NFL after this year. You have immediate path to the field for Ahmad Hudson in 2027. You will pay him. Easton Royal, freak show. They think, boom, immediate impact guy at receiver. You will pay Easton Royal. We talked about Mark Matthews, 5-star offensive tackle out of Lauderdale. You are not going to be playing I don't care if he's a 5-star. You're not going to be playing a true freshman offensive tackle in 2027. So why spend the money to sign that offensive tackle if he's not going to play right away? That's been the approach. So you're really seeing what Kiffin and Billy Glasscock are doing. Elite level guys that'll play immediately, or guys that they think will come and will be patient and will wait their turn, grow, develop, and when it is their turn, play. So when I look at the 2027 offensive line, understanding the thing we can probably agree on, Braylon Moore will be out of eligibility, so you'll have a new center. And then Jordan Seaton is likely going to be a top 10 pick, so you'll need a new left tackle. Okay? Well, you signed William Satterwhite from Tennessee this year, who came in here knowing Braylon Moore is there and is going to wait his turn. You also have Ryan Moret out of Miami, who signed in this high school class and is going to wait his turn. So one of those guys likely is your center in 2027. Aluba could return. Devin Harper is probably going to be a starter in 2027 at one of the spots, guard or tackle. We'll see how it goes. Weston Davis could certainly come back in 2027, and maybe he maintains a start. We'll see how that goes. But remember, you also signed Darren Stray from Kentucky, who was there with Eric Wolford, followed Wolford here. Understanding he's not going to play this year, but likely will have a path to the field at guard or tackle in 2027. Sean Tompkins comes in from Baylor, where he was the starting left tackle at Baylor last year. Well, he's going to sit this year behind Jordan Seaton. But 2027, he's probably your starting left tackle. So all that to say, in knowing that, the approach that LSU is taking, as Kiffin illustrated, how they are building their roster through the high school ranks and through the portal, it's unlikely that Terrance Smith is coming to LSU with the expectation of playing in 2027 as a true freshman. So hearing what you just heard from Kiffin and looking at a guy here who had offers from, and his finalists were Auburn and Tennessee, and at Rutgers on there as well, which is odd, but whatever. And had all these other offers, Florida, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Bama, Georgia, everybody. It's effectively telling you he checks the box of what Kiffin said. High character guys that are going to be willing to navigate tough times off the field and on it. They're going to come, wait, grow, develop, be patient, and play when it's their time. So I don't anticipate a guy like Terrance Smith coming to campus and playing as a freshman in 2027. What I hope is he comes to campus in 2027, learns, grows, develops physically, weight room, strength, conditioning, system, all that stuff. And in 28, his second year, when Sean Tompkins is gone, and you likely have a path to the field at left tackle and probably right tackle as well with Weston Davis, depending on how it goes. Now you got a guy in his second year ready to go compete for a starting job, potentially. That's the path and the approach that LSU has taken with how they're building not only their offensive line, but the entirety of their roster. And it's with the high school ranks. And it's showing very clearly that's their path. Now, I'm not sitting here like pumping my fist saying, yeah, this is 100% going to work. Because I think everyone, all coaches, all GMs, everyone is trying to figure out how to manage a roster in this era of NIL and transfer portal and high school ranks and caps and rev share and everything. So you have an approach that you think is best. Listen, it's a different approach at Indiana. They just won a national championship. Curt Cignetti's like, go get me a bunch of old dudes. Go give me a bunch of 22, 23. Go give me the Will Wade roster. Go give me the old dudes. And I'll take my 22, 23, 24-year-olds against your 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, and I think I'm going to have more success, especially if you get the right quarterback. It worked last year. They won a national championship. It's a different approach. That's not what Lane Kiffin is doing. So, again, it's not to say what Kiffin is doing is 100% the right way and is going to work, but you can very clearly see how he and Billy Glasscock are choosing to build this roster. And Terrance Smith is a big piece of it there, obviously, for the future. Not very likely for 2027. But for 28 and beyond. 2 offensive line commits here for LSU on Monday. Amaziah Siale, a tackle out of Hawaii, flips from Cal, and then 4-star Terrance Smith from Pennsylvania picks LSU over a handful of other finalists, including Auburn and Tennessee. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We are brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. I always give you the Goldilocks analogy. It's just right. Those big box stores, that can be cookie cutter, not as great selection, very impersonal. You go to the boutiques, probably not going to have a great selection. You're probably going to overpay. You go to Lee Michaels, because they're buying for 9 stores, you're going to get the great selection and you're going to get the great price, but they're also going to give you the great customer service experience. They call it the Lee Michaels experience. Want to walk in and try on 100 pieces of jewelry and not buy anything? Fine, do it. They want you to be comfortable with the purchase you make and understanding that buying a beautiful piece of jewelry is a special occasion. Hopefully it's something you give to a loved one that's passed down in your family for generations. And they want that to be exhibited in every part of that experience. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all, it's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. We're going to head to Omaha. Jason Ratcliff from 64 Analytics will be here. We're talking about this LSU baseball portal class, get some perspective on it. And then when we come back at the bottom of the hour, I'll circle back to what I was teasing before the top of the hour when LSU got the commitment, which is some real deep dive analytics on returning offensive experience and what that means as you sort of project LSU and Lane Kiffin's offense for 2026. We'll do that as we continue. Stay here. It's AFR.
After further review.
If you need to hire, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. Hire for what, Matt? Well, hire for anything. Quite literally. It doesn't matter if your business is in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, or San Antonio, San Diego. Doesn't matter. Anywhere, quite literally. It doesn't matter if you're looking for skilled blue-collar labor or if you need to hire an office job, from an office assistant all the way up to the C-suite. So our friends at Glow Resources, over the course of a year, will interview some 15,000 candidates for various jobs. So they are experts at knowing the right questions to ask to make sure you get the right person for your job. And they're so confident in their ability to find that person that if, for whatever reason, the employee they hire for your job doesn't work, they'll give you a prorated refund or find you a new employee for free. What do you have to lose? Time to be more productive. It's Glow Resources. Check them out online at GLO, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
This ball is headed to the bleachers. You can count it for a 2-run homer. What a night Jason Wax has had.
Man, I miss hearing Lynn Rollins. Just realized how much I miss hearing Lynn Rollins. Hopefully, I'll have the opportunity to call LSU baseball games deeper than he did this year. Maybe like Jason Wax will be a big part of that. LSU's baseball portal class now up to 5. The College World Series is going on. Jason Ratcliff, who's the founder of 64 Analytics, good enough to join us now from Omaha. Talk a little about the College World Series, but also this LSU portal class. Jason, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Doing really well. We just finished game one. They have some food up here in the press box, so I pounded some meatballs. I've been talking with some coaches, having a good day. The weather's been good. It rained a little bit yesterday, but it's been, or 2 days ago, but it's been sunny skies since.
This is why you come to the show. We give you boots on the ground analysis about the meatballs there in the press box at the Schwab. By the way, Jay, how are the meatballs?
I would say above average, but I wouldn't sit down at a restaurant for them, if that makes sense.
Relative to press box food, though, sounds pretty good.
Oh, relative to press box food, we're talking high end stuff, and they have Fresca on demand.
Okay.
So there's a lot to complain about, but there's nothing to need, if that makes any sense.
I love it so much. That's awesome, man. Thank you for the time. Hey, we came out of the break and we played the home run of Jason Wachs hitting the home run against LSU earlier this year. The latest edition for Jay Johnson's portal cycle, you like it?
I like it a lot. I mean, frankly, I think they kind of fit a lot of their needs. And, I don't want to harp or stay a little bit on their last portal season, but I think last portal season they kind of focused on what I'll call quarter infielders. And I think this year they kind of are adjusting a little bit or almost doing more of those middle infielders. So you got Cade and you got Park, and they're also bringing back Milam. So, I mean, they've got a lot of pieces. They're bringing a lot of pieces back. So I don't think they need a ton, but I think they're probably pretty close to being done.
Well, by the way, what was the consensus reaction to Milam's decision to return?
I'm going to say 80% shock and 20% I get it. You were talking about a little bit of the age of the NIL, and I think that's starting to have a little bit of an impact in baseball because you're talking about some of these kids. Like it's hard to go from college all the way to pro because you effectively have 4 to 5 teams that are between you and the pros, unless you're going for the Angels where they throw you right into it. So when you're looking at kind of like a signing bonus for a guy like Milam, who's not a big guy, he's got some pop, but he's not a big guy. He would absolutely be the exception and not the rule. My assumption is if he's looking at that and he's saying, okay, well, I maybe will make X in my signing bonus if I could get potentially Y in NIL. Like theoretically, would it make sense to come back? And there's also something that's potentially coming down the pipeline associated with, it's called a 5-and-5. And so that would be 5 years to play 5 years. Previously, you had 5 years to play 4 and you could redshirt. Now it'd be 5 years to play 5. So in theory, you could have a guy like him for 2 more years. And so if you're able to get some sort of compensation for those 2 years, it may actually be at or greater than what your potential signing bonus would be for the pros.
I want to ask Jason we talked about adding Wachs from Tulane. What about the 2 infielders you mentioned there with Park and Curlin? We know Curlin because he played 4 years at Florida, but in particular with Park, what's LSU getting there?
I think you're getting an elite defensive shortstop, second baseman, third baseman. I mean, ultimately, whatever he can be there. I think, frankly, they've got 3 guys that can play 3 positions. I don't see Milam playing third. He has the arm for it. Frankly, if it was me, I'm not one of the coaches. I probably would sit Milam at short, and I would try to see if Curland or if Park, which one's going to play second or third. Park has such incredible range. I mean, he could potentially go to short. I think really they could kind of just say, roll the dice, and whichever one goes at short, I think all 3 would work. So with Park, you're going to get a really incredible shortstop. I mean, he's also a bat as well. You're talking about a guy who had about like a 960 OPS, WOBA over 420. So, and the nice thing is if you're associated with isolated power, so effectively that's your slugging minus your batting averages was 274, which was 92nd percentile in the country. So you're getting a guy that's got a lot of pop in the middle infield, which you normally don't get between that pop and the defense. So you're getting a really good player with Park. And with Curland, I mean, it's kind of been up and down for him, which has been unfortunate. So he's already played 4 years. So his freshman year at Florida, when they went to the national championship and actually lost to you guys, I think he had 17 home runs and he was kind of on top of the world, and everyone thought that he was going to be that next big draft pick. And, he's had some injuries, he's had some ups and downs, and really like his junior year when he had his injury, I mean, he was kind of back to that freshman level. And so you were hoping that he could kind of continue that. And this year, he was pretty good, but he wasn't great. So I think, potentially a better, or maybe not a new scene, maybe something that can help him, kind of finish his career. So I like him a lot. I think, again, you're talking about a guy who brings power to a middle infield or even a corner infield, which is something that you always need in the SEC.
Jason Ratcliff from 64 Analytics is joining us from Omaha. Let me ask one follow-up on Park. Any concern that the bat doesn't transfer from Texas State into the SEC?
I think you always have that concern. I mean, when you look at it, you always talk about in football and basketball, they would call it the Power Five. And I guess it's kind of the Power Four now that the Pac-12 is gone. If there was a Power Five, the Sun Belt would be that fifth conference. So I do think there is more of an easier translation when it comes. I mean, Troy just beat up on Ole Miss where they scored 12 runs. So that's another Sun Belt team. So if you were to say like which conference could translate the best to maybe an ACC, Big 12, SEC, it would be the Sun Belt. But you always worry about the spin. A lot of these guys, they can catch up to 93 plus, but sometimes it's that Matt Scott 90-mile-per-hour slider from Georgia that kind of gets you. That looks like a fastball and kind of just falls off the table. So I think you always worry about spin, but I think you get a guy like this regardless because of his defensive ability. So he's got the ability, he's got the pop, and he's got the defense. So I don't think you look at that potential negative as something to get in the way.
Do you have a comp for Bino Waters?
Comp for Bino Waters? That's a great question. No, not really. I would have to think a little bit more about that one. You're just talking about a left-handed slugger. He's from the state of Michigan, so he's going to be a little bit different for traveling down south for you. But he was one of the top 5 players in the portal for us. So my comp would just be a really good player. I would love to have something off the top of my head for you to immediately shove out, but you're going to get one of the guys that pretty much every team in the country was trying to go after. We rank every single hitter in the country with our weighted run created efficiency. We had him as 39th. So that's regardless of classification of year, of anything. We had him as a top 40 hitter. So have that guy kind of player go into the portal and then get that. You've effectively just added a potential All-American.
That's a mouthful. The last portal edition that we haven't talked about yet is the lone pitcher, and that's Landon Hood from Gonzaga. Admittedly, a lot of people here probably don't catch a lot of baseball games in Spokane. So what do your analytics tell us about Landon Hood and what LSU's bringing in there?
So, if I were to try to compare him a little bit from what we see, it was almost like an Anthony Jansen. So a guy who is kind of coming from a smaller school that maybe didn't have – he had the notoriety Jansen did because he went to Team USA. But for us, like he was more in like the 100 to 140 range. Now, he doesn't have a ton of innings pitched, and I think he only had like 4 games starting Gonzaga. But you're talking about a guy who can throw 97, 98. So he's really that power arm that can throw multiple different pitches at you all within the zone. And, I mean, he was, again, one of the better pitchers that we had in the country as just a true freshman. So, I mean, there are a few things that go into our formula associated with, like, volume and, like, where you've done it, as you just said, like, being from Gonzaga, which Gonzaga has a good program. Mikey Bell just committed to Georgia. Like, there's some good ball that is going on in Gonzaga. But you're going to be getting a stud, and he's probably a little bit better than the 141 that we have. I've seen other outlets put him at 2. For me, I think that's a little too high. Again, for a guy who only has 4 starts in his career for Gonzaga, like I'd have to see a little bit more, but that's more subjective. What we try to be is completely as objective as humanly possible.
That's 64 Analytics. He's Jason Ratcliff, founder of 64 Analytics. You can get him at JasonR_64A if you want to follow him there on X. Again, at JasonR_64A. You're there in Omaha. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Biggest surprise for you so far?
Biggest surprise would absolutely have to be Ole Miss. So I think they had a difficult draw to begin with because they had to go up against North Carolina. And North Carolina's strengths, I would say, are 2 things. One, it's their starting pitching. It's their ability to hit left-handers. So you look at Ole Miss's top pitcher, it's going to be Elliott. Now, maybe if you're talking about like a draft board, he may not be your top pitcher. That's probably going to be Rab. But if you're talking about a guy, I think, winning that he was 7-0 in the College World Series with him at Ole Miss. So, like, he's been there, done that, bought the T-shirt for the Rebels. So the fact that they kind of almost had to pivot and then go to Rab, and Rab looked great. Like, Rab looked phenomenal. Forbes said it in the presser that, he was one of the best arms that they faced. But then, like, kind of after, something that was a little bit of a shock that they lost the game. Not a shock, but, maybe a disappointment is the fact that after getting ahead 6-2 with Elliott on the mound, they let that up against a Troy team. And that Troy team is really good. We just talked about from the Sun Belt. But at the end of the day, I don't think anyone had them going to a barbecue.
Can anybody threaten Georgia?
I would say Texas. I think what just happened today may have really helped. And I was talking with some of the Texas beat writers, and they were saying, would you want to face Oklahoma or Georgia in the 1-1 game? And I told them I think you'd want to face Georgia because the thought process is I want to go 1-1 versus Georgia. I don't want to have to go 2-1 versus Georgia. Now, it's not that Oklahoma isn't a good team. Oklahoma's a very good team. But I think that Georgia has enough depth that you don't really want to have to face them 3 times, especially when you're on game 5 and they're on game 4. But what's nice with this format is you can effectively save some of your pitching. And right now, Texas's bullpen is as fresh as it can be. So even though they're 1-1, they've got plenty of arms. Harrison hasn't thrown yet. Their 2 best arms in the bullpen haven't thrown yet. So they'll be ready to go, whoever that 1-1 game is. And then if they get to a game 4 or game 5, they can probably bring back Volantis. And so that would be on that side of the bracket. And then, right now, I think if you're talking about top 3 betting favorite, it would probably have to be North Carolina as the other because their top 5 pitchers are so good. They've played 2 games. They've only thrown 4 guys right now, and they're all studs. So I like those 3 teams the most, but I would probably have to put Georgia at top.
It stinks watching it without the Tigers there, but so far it's been really entertaining College World Series. Hopefully still plenty of good baseball to go. Make sure you're following Jason Ratcliff at JasonR_64A, founder of 64 Analytics. We appreciate it, man. Thanks for some time. We appreciate you squeezing us in.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Be well. Enjoying the meatballs up there in the press box. That's great to hear, man. They're taking care of it. That's a great option. If you just look, I ain't trying to complain ever. You're in the press box. You're there you're working, but you're there for free. And yes, there's food in there, but I ain't like a hot dog guy. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna eat a hot dog,
you hate hot dogs. Let's be honest.
The only time I'm ever gonna eat a hot dog, if I'm at a ball game. As a spectator, as a fan.
Okay.
And it's like a loaded up dog that's like a specialty at that venue. You go to Wrigley and you get you get a Wrigley dog that's just mayo, mustard, ketchup, relish, all of it. Just everything that comes on it. To mute me from the fact that I'm eating a piece of garbage processed cow tongue or whatever that is. That's gross. That's about the only time I'd ever eat a hot dog.
Now, crock-pot meatballs like our guy Jason was probably just eating right there. Come on.
I'm game.
All day, every day, man.
Load me up.
Yeah.
Because I can just, I don't need the carbs. I don't need the bun. I don't need everything else. I just load meatballs on a plate.
Couple toothpicks.
That's it.
Go to town. Great snack. Good party snack.
I'm here for it. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration. ParishRestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. Parish Restoration. That's who you want. They'll come spray their patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. Get that mold knocked out, lickety-split. They can fog your home in half a day. So it's effective. It's efficient. It's cost-effective as well. And here's some of these mold remediation companies get quotes. The prices are outrageous. Call Parish Restoration. You'll be thrilled. Mold remediation, done right the first time. ParishRestoration.com. ParishRestoration.com. Check them out online. Get that free estimate. ParishRestoration.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here on this Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks in about 15 minutes. Already posted over at LouisianaSports.net. When we come back, CBS Sports did a deep dive into this analytic, these deep dive analytics into offensive production for 2026 in college football and what it means as far as projecting. We'll dive into what it means for Lane Kiffin's offense next. It's AFR.
After further review.
Man, thanks to Jeff Watson, who is here with us in hour number 1 from Gordon McKernan's team. Gordon, of course, has been a great partner of ours and been great community partners for 3 decades. Tell you all the time, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Get Gordon, get it done. Jeff was with us because Jeff is the attorney on Gordon's team that handles all the NIL contracts for the G team members. So over the last half decade, he's on hundreds of NIL contracts. And Jeff was with us kind of breaking down the Sorsby situation. But it's just an illustration of the great partnership that we have. So we need to call on a great attorney that can help us make sense of what's going on with Brendan Sorsby. We can call Jeff Watson or anyone on Gordon's team. And, of course, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You can go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, or call the 888-8888, 888-8888, getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
All right, Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks in just a smidge. Thank you. I want to go quickly here so I have time to get through this. I've teased it all day. I want to make sure we get this done. You know, if you listen to this show, I don't like lists. I don't like the top 10. I don't like a coach's ranking. I don't like the top 10 biggest games of the month of September. You give me subjective stuff like that, I don't care. It's somebody's opinion. You have your opinions. Whatever. Like, I'm not going to react to somebody's opinion, by and large. If you show me something objective, something data-driven, where I can maybe extrapolate something interesting, I can get behind. And CBS Sports released today what I thought was a pretty fascinating exercise here. They ranked college football's most experienced offenses. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. You could say, okay, well, who has the most starts returning? Or which quarterbacks have thrown for the most yards? Or running backs have run for the most yards? And that is in there, but it's not the entirety of the list. For example, when they look at passing production, they look at yards, attempts, completions, touchdowns, and then based on those, rank them all to spit out the metric that it gives you passing production. On that list, LSU's 44th. That shouldn't be a great surprise because Sam Leavitt played about half the season last year. And if you look at the backups, well, obviously you bring in Husan Longstreet, who played in just 4 games, really only had significant action in 1 game against Montana. So all that to say, you shouldn't really rank very highly there. As far as passing efficiency, they look at completion percentage, yards per attempt, average yards per attempt, touchdown percentage, interception percentage, sack percentage. Again, this is like a deep dive into all of these metrics to spit out a number to tell you what is your passing efficiency number. Well, LSU was 27th in pass efficiency. And again, that's Sam Leavitt, who played half a season a year ago, and that's not even what LSU is because none of the scholarship quarterbacks from last year are on the roster right now. So they do this for all of the different position groups. Like if you look at the running back productivity, the rushing production, where they look at yards attempts, yards per attempt, touchdown, explosive rushes, and then explosive rush percentage. Again, deep dive into the analytics. And LSU's running back rushing production ranks 26th. The offensive efficiency overall, I skipped an important one. I'm going to come back to it in a second. You'll understand why. The offensive efficiency, 19th. Offensive line, 24th. LSU's line last year was atrocious, but they're buoyed by the fact that you bring in Jordan Seaton, you bring in Alu Ba, you return Braylon Moore, who was good for you a year ago, and all of a sudden your outlook looks a little better. The one that's probably the most interesting, or maybe should be the most interesting from an LSU perspective, is that, like, if you're scrolling through all of this, what jumps off the page is the receiving production. So remember, I just told you passing was 44th, passing efficiency was 27th, rushing was 26th, offensive efficiency was 19th, offensive line 24th. So good, but nothing elite until you get to receiving production. Yards, receptions, yards per reception, touchdowns, explosive reception percentage. Texas Tech's number 1. Number 2, your Fighting Tigers of LSU. One of the storylines we've talked about so much this offseason with Lane Kiffin's offense has been the decision not to go after an elite level, like top tier receiver in the portal. Remember, this was Kiffin during spring talking about adding multiple big play receivers.
We try to balance the room more. If you think of it as like, here's your cap number for a room, instead of being really top heavy with 1 and 2 and then not having depth. I think when we've been our best, it's because we've had 4 to 5 to 6 receivers that can all play really well. And so that's what we're striving for here.
4 to 5 to 6 receivers that all play really well. And again, I know we've thrown this stat at you before, but a year ago at Ole Miss, they had 5 pass catchers that went over 600 receiving yards. LSU had 1, Barry and Brown. That was it. On the flip side, Lane generally finds 1 bell cow back, and then the second leading rusher on the team is the quarterback. There was only 1 season of his 6 at Ole Miss where they had a by committee approach at running back. So I think what's really clear when you look at history and then how they're building this roster is they went out and got a bunch of really productive receivers from other places, and they'll sort it out. And there'll be 4 to 6 that all get a bunch of targets and yards. Trades Green is certainly going to be in that mix as well. And then Harlem Berry is probably going to be their bell cow, gets 200 rushing attempts. And Dylan Jones is their most complete back, who's going to play a bunch as well because he can pass protect and catch the ball and he can run. So you're probably going to have Harlem Berry's leading rusher. Sam Levitt's going to be your second leading rusher. Dylan Jones is going to be third. He's going to play a lot because he can block and pass protect and all that sort of stuff as well. And you're going to have 5 receivers who all have 600-plus yards. Probably no one goes over 1,000. And Trades Green is going to be this crazy X factor because of his freakish ability, the threat he is in the red zone, his yards per catch, all the mismatches he creates and tilts the field. And you can kind of see how it's all built. But very intentionally, when you look at these metrics, these very detailed metrics, how this offense is built, it tells you where the production has been. And in Lane Kiffin's offense, it's very clear that's what you need, a deep roster of receivers that make this thing go so you can't just commit a defensive back to one receiver to take away half the field or limit the offense because one guy was off that day. You have so many different options. And, of course, Trades is going to be a huge part of this. By the way, Trades had a camp this weekend, and Jacques Doucet did an interview with Trades, who really sung Lane Kiffin's praises.
He's a great coach, a great leader for our team. Like, he's exactly what we've been missing there. So, just ready to play for our coach. Now, he gives 110%, and we go give 120 for him.
And then on top of that as well, Sam Levitt, who was limited throughout spring. What about the chemistry and working with the new quarterback?
We throw almost every day. He always calls me, texts me, say, we're going to get some throws in. You got to have that chemistry with your quarterback. I got chemistry with all 3 of the quarterbacks. We always throw together. We got good chemistry. We just ready to put a show on for the state of Louisiana.
Love to hear that. Because the one big concern that I have about this team, as I've verbalized, not having Levitt in spring, you saw what the offense isn't, or what it is without Sam Levitt. What will it look like with him? Well, a big part of that is the rapport and getting those reps with receivers and pass catchers. Good to know they're working on it now. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Flew home yesterday from Vegas. We had a layover in Dallas. I would like to give a big hat tip to Dallas Love Field, because as I was walking through the terminal and I went to go get a bottle of water, they had Evermore. How about that? Shout out. Shout out to you, Dallas Love Field Airport, for carrying Evermore. And by the way, Louisiana airports, why aren't you carrying Evermore? It's a Louisiana product. Come on, Louisiana airports. Get with it. EVAMOR, evermore.com, evermore.com. Natural artesian water. Look, just because there's a square bottle with a flower on it from a tropical island on the other half of the world, that's spring water. No different than Evermore, which comes from a natural artesian well in Covington. Spring water, right from the source, and right here in Louisiana with national distribution. Evermore, EVAMOR, evermore.com, evermore.com. All right, y'all. Final break of the show. We'll come back. Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks. We're glad you're hanging out. Always love telling you about Relief Windows, title sponsor for our Monday shows all throughout the year. We'll grab our final break, come back and find out what we're betting on tonight. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Came home from Vegas, immediately just popped in the face by that humidity. You go out to Vegas and they're like, oh, it's a dry heat. Yeah, but 115 degrees, that's like when you open an oven and that hot air just hits you right in the face. That's what it's like being in Vegas. Here, it's like, when you wear a sweater outside in July, it's kind of what it feels, or June is what it feels like with the humidity. But the bottom line is neither's comfortable, and both are awful for your AC that sit outside and never get a break from that relentless heat throughout the summer months. So make sure you trust River City's 1 Hour Air to keep your AC running at peak efficiency throughout the warm weather months. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. You see the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. See them all over town. Give them a buzz at 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001. Preseason AC tune-up or any system repair, mention the Moscona special at River City's 1 Hour Air. Remember our friends over at River Parish Contractors. They are hiring. They're looking for you. Welders, pipe fitters, tackers, crane operators. There's so many reasons to give our friends at River Parish Contractors a call. Maybe you don't think you're looking for a job until you know something better is out there, and that is River Parish Contractors. You want to work day shift? Cool. You want to work night shifts when it's cooler? Great. You can do that at River Parish Contractors. They got as much overtime as you want to work. A lot of places give you good hourly rate, but they don't want you to work overtime. Not at River Parish Contractors. They got it, and you can work as much of it as you want at River Parish Contractors. Great benefits, paid time off, of course, health care, 401k, all of it at River Parish Contractors. And you're home with your family every night because all of their work is local. Call Big Jake over at River Parish Contractors to find out more. rpcontractors.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. Appreciate Brandon Holly and the gang as always. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. ReliefWindows.com. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, what up?
What up, Matthew? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fan-friggin-tastic. Best day ever.
Very good, very good. Let's get right to the cards. Now let's start off at Omaha and the Chuck. Unders have gone 4-3 with the game going way over today. 12.5 is about as tall of a number that you're going to have. Now, the wind has been blowing out a little bit. It's not as much of a factor today. We're going to go with Georgia, Oklahoma under 12.5 at the College World Series. As far as the side is concerned, yes, of course, I think Georgia is going to win tonight. I think Georgia's going to win the whole thing, but laying 260, 270 against a team that is really, really hot. Keep in mind, Oklahoma went to Atlanta and beat Georgia Tech 2 in a row. It's something I can't get behind. So I can't lay that type of number. I can't lay 2.5 runs as well. Let's get to Major League Baseball. Houston hosting Detroit. This better pitchers for Houston this year is Tang. He's been on a little bit of a fade as of late. We're going to think that the trend will continue. Detroit has been playing better baseball yet. Plus money here. Not sure what it is now. It's plus 102.
Yep. Plus 104.
104. All right, we're going to go with the A's in Pittsburgh. Talking about launching pads up in Summerlin, the 6-game stand, man. You saw that the highest scoring game in baseball, Major League Baseball this year, between the Rockies and the A's. A's back home in Sacramento tonight. Ginn has been one of their better pitchers tonight. He is minus 122. Jared Jones is just 3 starts coming off the IL for Pittsburgh. He has pitched 4 innings, 5 innings, and 4 1/3. You know about that Pittsburgh bullpen. We're going to get into that bullpen tonight. Look for the A's to roll the Pirates tonight, minus 122. And then it's dangerous territory, bucking the Dodgers, especially in Chavez Ravine. But Eric Lauer is clearly their weakest starter. Martinez has been a bright spot for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay plus 153, and that will probably grow as we get closer to game time. We would take the Rays plus the money on the road against the Dodgers.
All right, 3 picks for the Ada tonight. Georgia, Oklahoma under 12.5 there at the Chuck, and then 3 plays in Major League Baseball, all on the money line. The Tigers, the A's, and the Rays. Where are you tomorrow?
We are at Mike Anderson's. Yeah, we're at Mike Anderson's. I'll get it straight. It's on Lee, just off of Nicholson.
Heard of it.
Come on by and see us.
I've heard of it. Been there a time. Been there a time or two. Hey, by the way, no World Cup action?
A lot, but and it's we got another upset in the making as well with Saudi Arabia with a 1-0 lead at half, and they were three-way, including the draw.
1 minute remaining.
They went off at Uruguay went off at 225, minus 225. So massive draw earlier this day with Spain drawing against. And look, man, one of the biggest hits the books have taken across the board was with Nick's end game, but also Friday night with the U.S. men's national team. So, yeah, the bandwagon started in New York. It's like overflowing with the soccer team right now.
My Uber driver on Friday night in Vegas had a final score ticket on the U.S. against Paraguay, 4-1. Nailed the final score.
Would that pay like 30-1?
He got I think he bet. I think it was plus 1,800, something like that. It was
okay,
crazy.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah, it was
nice one.
Felt good for him. Thank you, Otter.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
See you. Have a good night. All right, Muse Pauly, thanks. See y'all tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
From Brandon Landry and my friends that bring you Supper Club, their newest concept, Amigo Al's on Highway 30 in St. Gabriel. Got a chance to pop in last week. I'm going to tell y'all, Amigo Al's, put it on your list. Make sure you pop by. Listen, where they are on Nicholson, right, south of U Club, it's going to feed a lot of U Club South, Lexington, Harveston, that whole area. But also, maybe your kids are playing games at Traction or you're at Elite. Pop in for lunch or dinner one day, or just put Amigo Al's on your list and pick a day and go. I'm going to tell you, there's so many Mexican food places where you go, and it just sits on you so heavy. The thing that is so impressive, it's fresh, it's delicious. The margaritas are the best in town, where they use high-end tequila and real fruit juices, so you're not going to get all that sugary mess with a bad hangover. Check it out, y'all. It's Amigo Al's.